Today I'm out here in the shop and I just wanted to do a basic video on some protective equipment. Starting off, just gloves, things like that you're going to need to get started welding. And I just want to give you guys kind of my take on it, my perspective as to what I like to use and what I don't like to use. So we're just going to start off with first this flame retardant jacket. I know this one has seen better days. It's going to get replaced soon, probably sometime this week. At work we've been running some pretty hot stuff and it's really just taking its toll on this. So this is a must, the flame retardant material. It just helps to keep your clothes nice. I mean, as you can see here, this is kind of like my welding hoodie. It still gets burned up a little bit, but this is going to help you out a lot. Alright, this camera situation is not working. Let's try something different. Okay, so like I said, we've got the protective jacket. There's actually a new one down there. I'm just one of those people that likes to wear things completely out before I replace them. Another thing that you're probably thinking, well, that's kind of goofy, I'm not going to wear that. It's one of these little welding beanies. Don't particularly like this one because it's got this little piece right here, and you actually wear this backwards on your head, underneath your weld helmet to protect your hair. I've got one at school that I like a lot better than this one. This one's just been in my truck because I've been taking it to work. Not something you have to have on all the time, but it's definitely a nice thing to have. For some reason, if you're in a weird position or overhead or something like that, you're not burning up all your hair. Okay. Next thing we have is eye protection. A pair of Jackson Nemesis safety glasses. These are by far my favorite safety glasses. I always have a couple pair of these. They work really good with these thin pieces underneath your helmet. It works out well. Here's a pair of Shade 5 for torch cutting of the same Jackson Nemesis line. Next thing we're going to talk about is gloves. Now in the welding world there's a lot of different kinds of gloves you can go for. I have a couple here, just to show you some basic examples and what I like to use. Starting off here are just some pretty durable, high heat. These ones again are shot. I don't wear them as much anymore, but these are good gloves. I've had these for a long time. They're insulated on the inside, so you can really handle a lot of heat with them. As far as dexterity goes, on TIG welding they're not the best, but MIG welding, stick welding, these are good gloves. They have the longer cuff here, help protect your arms. Okay, this next pair of gloves is a pair that I just got about a week ago. I wore my stuff out pretty hard, but these are one of my new favorites in gloves. Okay, they're not all this split leather, but there's also this kind of soft leather here. At work I do a lot of different stuff. Sometimes I'll be TIG welding, sometimes I'll be MIG welding. So these are really nice because you got a little bit more dexterity. They hold up a little better. They don't have the seams that split like on those so far. And as far as heat resistance goes, they're really resilient to heat. I've been running some really hot MIG wire at work and haven't had any problems with those. But I also like to keep a pair of these TIG gloves on hand because you just never know. These are really good for nothing except for TIG welding because they're like paper thin. That's what you want when you're TIG welding because you need that dexterity to control the torch as well as the filler metal. So as you can see here, once I get it on, these are just really flexible. These are like a $10 pair of gloves. These are about a $15, and these are like a $20. These gloves are probably a little overpriced. I would pay $20 for these before I'd pay $20 for those, but again, these are about $15, and they're Tillman's 50L series. These are Tillman's 25BM series. And then here's just one glove. I don't know where the other one went to. It's somewhere in my truck, but I like to keep a pair of these at work too, because these gloves cost about $2.50 a pair. As you can see, they're not really that good for welding because you get holes burned in them. But in the shop atmosphere, you never know when you're going to be just moving metal around or something where you need gloves just to work, and just a pair of work gloves. And you don't really want to be wearing these, which cost like $15 just to carry metal around. Another thing I always keep with me are earplugs. All right. Sometimes you'll see definitely why you need earplugs, and other times you're like, oh, I don't need earplugs, I'm not going to wear those. I used to be one of those people that didn't wear them as much. Now I tend to have them in all the time. Just anything gets to your hearing after a while, whether it be hammering on a piece of metal, grinding on a piece of metal, or even just the sound of the electric arc. After a while, you stop welding and you're just kind of like, wow, I can't hear anything. Next little thing here, another guy has the welding tips and tricks. This is one of his TIG fingers. There's really nothing that special about it. I mean, It's literally just like a piece of material, but I haven't found anything that works better than this for especially aluminum, where the heat transfers out through really quick, and it just allows you to kind of rest your finger up in there with the TIG torch, and you can prop wherever you need to prop. Otherwise your hand gets really hot and you're trying to hover and stuff above the metal, and that's just really a nice little gadget to have in your toolbox. Not something I use every day, but something that when I do use it, I'm happy I have it. Alright, the next big thing is going to be welding helmets. Alright, as you can see, I have a pretty good variety of welding helmets here. There's 2 fixed shade helmets on the left, 2 auto darks. I also have this, was like the first welding helmet we ever had, and I've just stripped parts off of it, but that's beside the point. When you're looking at a welding helmet, if you're just starting out, I would highly recommend getting an auto dark hood. It's going to make the learning process so much easier, and it really is beneficial when you're trying to learn to weld, to have that auto dark hood. And when I say auto dark hood, is what I mean is that you can see through the lens until the arc is struck, and then they go dark. Okay, so you can see the advantages there. Now these hoods range anywhere from, this is a Jackson hood, okay, a pretty good hood. It's got nice headgear and stuff like that. And this hood, I think, is around $36. It's got the small viewing window, which the small viewing window is okay. What I really like about this hood is you can flip this up for when you're chipping slag or grinding or whatever, just to keep that stuff off your face. Again, this is a pretty decent hood. It's kind of heavy, but it's a really good hood. They also make this hood with the larger window like this, you know, right here. So that's an option too if you want the bigger window. Again, I like the bigger window. I just started using these this year. This is a hood I picked up for like 14 bucks. You can get hoods from anywhere from $14 to $40 in the passive shade ones. So this is just a cheap TSC one. It was $14. I've been wearing this hood quite a bit, as you can tell. I really like this hood, but the only problem is when I first got it, the very first thing that broke the first day I had it was this headgear, okay? And I stole the headgear off that helmet. That's why I don't really use it anymore. But these little screws up in here stripped out, and I was totally ticked, because once those screws strip out, your hood just starts to drift down and it won't stay in the up position when it's on your head. So here's 2 basic options for a passive shade. You've got the small window, and then you've got the large viewing window, which if you're not going to get an auto dark, I would definitely recommend the big window. Actually, I would recommend this over that any day. Even though this has the ability for the clear, I would go with the big window. It just makes everything a lot easier, lets a lot more of the weld into your eyes so you can see what's going on, and that's just one of my new favorites. Now moving on, I've got 2 auto darkening helmets here. Alright, we've got a probably $80 TSC auto darkening hood, and then a more high dollar welding hood that I actually just purchased, and I'm going to talk about that a little more in the next part of this video. But for the most part, you've got these hoods. Okay, this one's got a smaller window, as you can see. Alright, nice lightweight helmet. This one has got a bigger window with a lot more features. Again, we'll go over that in the next video. We'll really get a better look at that hood. But another great advantage to these auto dark hoods is the adjustability of shade. As you can see on this weld hood, it goes from shade 9 to 13, which it's really nice, especially if you're not just set on doing one process all the time. Like I said, I'm going to go back to the example of me being at work. Sometimes I'll TIG weld, sometimes I'll be stick welding. Okay, TIG welding, you might want a shade 9, but if you're doing some heavy duty stick welding, you might want an 11 or 12. So that just shows that you can just flip between. Otherwise, you've got to actually physically take these plates out, okay? And you can put in a darker filler plate inside this helmet, but it's kind of a pain in the butt. So, again, basic overview of safety stuff you need to get started. Safety glasses, number 1. Good pair of weld gloves, number 2. A welding helmet, number 3. And some good protective fireproof apparel like this. And also, don't forget the also important earplugs. But that's my basic, what you need to get started welding apparel video. And in part 2 of this, I'm going to do a comprehensive review on this Jackson W60 True Sight Halo helmet. So stay tuned for that one. Thanks, guys.